Welcome, Chosen One.
Hey guys, welcome to the Eist channel. In today's video I wanted to feature a deck made by MasterFallen, who is a loyal viewer, a loyal Discord member, who has been posting quite a few decks recently on the Discord, and been asking for some feedback, and I figured it was about time that we gave it to him. You know we gotta give it to him. So, yeah. MasterFallen made a Queensguard deck, and you guys know me, I love myself some Queensguard. This whole channel started on Queensguards. So I tried the deck out, played a few games. I'll be showing you a couple of them, of course, as a demonstration of how this deck works. But I'm just going to quickly go over the deck, just the cards in it, and give you like the thoughts that I have now. And that's basically it. So, of course, the intention of this video is the usual intention of, you guys helping me to become a better Gwent player and creator, I guess. But also to help MasterFallen optimize their deck, give them feedback. I know a lot of people want feedback on their decks, but they don't really have a platform to do that on, to get it on. So here we go. The Eist channel is all about community. I want to bring community creations together. Bring people together. Feedback is awesome, and yeah, we're just gonna bounce ideas off of each other and until we all become better Gwent players and have more fun with the game. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? I think it does. But let's get into the deck. It's an Eist Tirsec Queensguard deck. Now I was concerned at first because I've only played Queensguard with Svalbard, because you have those pings, those self pings. And I was concerned that if we were going to be able to consistently ping our Queensguard in this deck. Well, first of all, you don't really have to worry about that because they're always going to get killed anyway. But in the few cases where they do survive, I still feel like you do have a good bit of pings in this deck. Like when my Queensguard survived while playing this, I found myself able to copy them more than enough for them to be valuable cards. So Eist is probably good. And the main target for Eist, I would imagine, was Ceres. This is what I tried to use it on. So basically you play Ceres round 1 to 2 out of Queensguard, and then you replay her in the final round, be it 2 or 3, to 2 out the second Queensguard. It's a pretty big play, 8 points, and you establish the Queensguard. It's a bit higher tempo version of establishing an engine, which is really good. I'm a big fan of this card. We do not run Shield Maidens. That just does not seem feasible, so I get why MasterFallen didn't put them in. But just make sure that if you have Ceres or Royal Decree for Ceres in your opening hand, make sure to have at least one Queensguard in the deck. If the second one is in your hand, that's not a big problem. And if you don't get to resurrect this with Eist, don't worry. There are plenty of other cards here that will be just as good, if sometimes not even better. We got Sigrifa's Right, of course. No big bodies to resurrect with this, but it's just a way to put certain cards back on the board. Like Sigvald, who of course can ping Queensguards, but if he gets berserked, then he's also a really good damage engine. Even Gremist, in cases where you really need him, is a pretty good Sigrifa. Heime Flaminica. I never got this to go off properly, but I have this vision. A row full of wounded Queensguards, and then this comes down and just heals those beautiful ladies back up. It just seems so good. And I'm a big fan of this card and its inclusion. Maybe it's not as necessary, but you could potentially say that. We have Drake Bondu, which is not a Sigrifa's Right target, but it's an interesting card. I mean, it's a 4 for 6. It doesn't need that much to become valuable. Basically, if you're against the deck, maybe super greedy monsters where they don't have a lot of removal, you can probably save this for round 3, get a long round 3, get a bunch of Queensguard, and then just play this boy for big value. But often I found myself just playing him as a pretty solid round 1 play, because we do have some discard package cards, pretty much all of them, with the skirmishers and hunters. And these are all warriors, and we're just playing some casual other warriors. Ceres is a warrior. So often you can just play Drake fairly safely in round 1 for a good bit of points. But again, you know, I have this vision, this dream. A row full of Queensguards. And then Drake Bondu comes down. Glory to you. Aww. Boosting those beautiful ladies back up. I like boosting ladies. Healing ladies. I don't even know what this is. But yeah, of course we do have the Queensguard. We have Frey's Blessing to resurrect Queensguard or resurrect any Queensguard triggers that we might need. We have a couple of those in the shape of bronze units the Frey's Blessing can give us. And yeah, that's pretty much the deck. The important cards. Of course, Harald Hound's now fantastic. You know, gets good value with the skulls, and then he can just ping Queensguard afterwards. It's amazing. So I really liked this deck, but it was lacking. I found myself lacking removal, which, I mean, this is an all-in greedy deck. Although I don't feel it has enough engines to be an all-in greedy deck. So yeah, I don't know. Svalbard Totem is not necessary. It's a big play. It's a big point play. But it could potentially be something else. Like the self-wound aspect, you're probably never going to use this on a Queensguard. So like, it is what it is. It's a potential 10 for 10, which is really great. Don't get me wrong. But like, it doesn't have to be here. But maybe some big boy removal could be here, you know? The discard package might not be necessary, but I actually kind of enjoy it just because of the Brockvar Hunters being such good pinging engines. They can ping Queensguard, they can ping enemies. Skirmishers and Hunters are warriors, so it puts the warriors on the board, it adds consistency, and if you get a decent enough hand, it actually gives a solid amount of points as well. You even have more for it. So I'd probably keep that in for now. Ermion, I don't think these alchemy cards are so important that you have to tutor them out. So maybe Ermion could be something else, although he did well for me. Like, don't get me wrong, all the cards in here actually. Yeah, all the cards in here had moments where they really came through for me, so like, I'm not hating. Gremist, definitely not strictly necessary, but it removes lock from the Queensguards. I mean, poison is everywhere. Bounty, bleed, vitality. This will usually get value at least, but there are some matchups where this will just be a lifesaver. So, and it's a solid card. It's pretty good. Wolfeiden, of course, doesn't have to be here. It's just a good card. Otherwise, I think the list is solid. I had a good time with this deck. Like I said, I felt like it lacked removal to be able to counteract opponents' engines and important cards that just really mess you up. And if it's going to be a super intense engine greedy deck, I think it needs more engines. And I don't know how you would fit in that many more engines. So yeah, maybe put in some clutch removal. But let me know. I mean, let me and MasterFallen know in the comments what you guys think of this deck, how you would improve it, optimize it. And I think it's about a goddamn time that we get into some gameplay. Of course, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this little rundown of the deck. And enjoy the gameplay, and then like and subscribe if you enjoyed the gameplay. Always like and subscribe, it's important. We gotta grow this channel to become the biggest, best channel ever. Oh yeah, we're gonna beat PewDiePie. He has more subs than there are Gwent players. We can beat him though. Let us go. Enjoy the gameplay, guys. Thank you so much for watching so far. And yeah, I'll see you in a second.
Everything has its price. The question is it worth it?
Alright, so Queen Calantha, Northern Realms. not a matchup I'm fond of at all. They have too many engines for my taste. Now, it's okay to keep a Freya's Blessing in your opening hand these days, because your Queensguard is gonna get killed. Like, there's literally no way that your Queensguard doesn't get killed. So it's perfectly fine to keep one in hand, but I decided to kick it, and also to just kick the Queensguard, which, again, like I mentioned in the introductory section, it's okay to have a Queensguard in your hand. If you wanna play a little bit slower, then you are perfectly okay to do so. Just play Queensguard from hand. You don't have to play it through Ceres. But I decided to kick that as well, and I got rewarded for it because I have both skirmishers and 2 scalds in my hand, which is actually really, really good. Just now I know that I'll be able to get those out of my hand, which is always nice. And as you can see, you know, my opponent is doing Northern Realms things. There's a couple of engines on the board. And this is where the whole thing I said about not having removal comes in. Although against Northern Realms, like a couple of removal cards wouldn't have mattered, but it still would have been nice, at least to take those damage engines off the board, because they're gonna make life really, really miserable for us. They always do. It's the same with Fire Scorpions and Maka Mercenary, Dwarven Mercenary, excuse me. If you can't get rid of them, they're gonna ruin your whole day. And they just got pings for days. It's actually really insane. So I'm just gonna be honest. I don't enjoy playing against Northern Realms. I mean, I'm sure. Of course, as with everything, there are ways to play against each faction, each deck. And I figured for this matchup, it's just try to endure, just try to get through the round. Maybe sacrifice some big plays. I mean, we got Ansays out of them pretty early, so I think we are at liberty to maybe commit some higher value cards of our own. We did commit Herald Houndsnout, which is not a super big commitment play, especially not against something that's going to be able to kill him 100% of the time. So you can see me considering the pass, but I played the Svalbard Totem because in case he passes, we do have the round. This was some insane math, and I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't actually do the math before doing the play, so this could have very well backfired, and I would have refused to show you this game. But it worked out by 1 point, so I'm pretty happy with that. Grimmist is not that big of a card in this matchup. Of course, they might have Vitality, Karamet's, Rune Word on Tridem Infantry, and Purifying that is actually a pretty high value. But if this had been Queen Me we were playing against, then maybe I would have kept Grimmist just for that purpose. But against Kalantha, I'm pretty certain that it's not going to be that relevant. So I use Eist. Like I go for the 2-0, or at least the deep bleed, which is something I found myself doing way too much with this deck. I don't know what it is. I feel like I have to bleed, and you know that actually reminds me of a Reddit post I read yesterday about someone who were, complaining about a bunch of stuff, as people do on Reddit, but they mentioned that it seems like you always have to bleed now. And I think I kind of feel the same way. Like, I never had the balls to take a dry pass anymore, because everybody I play against, they have so much bullshit. And me being the pure man that I am, I don't have a lot of bullshit. I have fun cards like Queensguard. And yeah, that's what I have. I don't have a bunch of crap. So like, I kind of agree with the person who wrote that post, because I too feel like I have to bleed a lot. And I think maybe like with this deck, maybe bleeding is okay if you don't spend Eist. I think that's my main mistake. Like bleeding is fine, and like we have Eist to put 8 points and a Queensguard on the board, and then we can play something to damage it with, and then we have next turn and at least one more turn after that to copy the Queensguard, making it a pretty high value play. And just in general, we have a lot of points. So I think we're actually pretty good to bleed if we don't commit our leader, because our leader is a pretty big boy play. Like being able to put a Queensguard on the board in a high tempo fashion with Queen Ceres, and also putting a card to damage it with in the same turn, so the next turn everything is ready. That is a big play. Like that is something I really enjoy. And I think this is where I pinged the Sabrina. Yeah. Because it gives me a Queensguard, and you know, I get a big heal with the Fluminica, and if it were to survive one more turn, it would have completely healed all the Sabrina damage. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I mean, we're still doing all right. We are behind and a card down, but I am gonna go all in on this one because we do get another Queensguard, and we get a very big Drake Bondu. Like 10 points for 6 provisions. That is not bad. I think my record with him so far is 12. I think that was in, yeah, that was in a round 1 where I had a couple skirmishers, Brockvar Hunter, Ceres, and I got Queensguards off. I got an easy 12-point Drake Bondu. It was pretty cool. Drake Bondu is fun. Like Warrior Swarm is pretty cool. And of course, Shield Maidens are kind of swarmy cards, and they're warriors, so I guess in a more committed Drake Bondu deck, you would play Shield Maidens. But I don't know, like that would have to be in a more Southwound centric deck with either Svalbard or at least Svalbard Priests. This is the main reason I'm showing you this game, because it was so intense. My opponent played Draug, and because of the bleed, we tied. So he had to play Bloody Baron, which is a card I hate so much to play against. So I'm so glad we got that out of him. But yeah, that's what I call a successful bleed. That was a pretty good bleed, in my opinion. And we thinned pretty well, so we have access to pretty much everything we want from our deck. So we're gonna mulligan the Butcher to get Sigvald, which is pretty good. Of course, he doesn't shine as well in a short round such as this, but neither does Aratus Adept. So yeah, I think my bleed in this game was very successful. If I had saved Eist, then you know we wouldn't have gotten all these cards out of him, but we would have had a stronger play this round, of course. Of course, like the added strength of that play versus being a card down, I don't think it would have been worth it. I think it's pretty neat that my opponent did have this tiny little combo here with the charges and the boosting the stringer, but we have the big boy plays. Not very big boy. We're actually going to summon the Fluminica. Gramist would have been the same amount of points here, 6, and we take it. I'm pretty happy with this game. It was so intense. When we got that, when we got the drag out of him and the Bloody Baron, that was pretty good. Of course, Bloody Baron isn't too scary for this deck because we don't really boost. Like Drake Bandu boosts our warriors by 1. Most of our warriors will be damaged probably. So we're not really that scared of Bloody Baron. It's just he's annoying. He's big and annoying. Alright, so this second match is against Detlef Vampires, a deck that I've been playing a lot recently. I wanted to make a video for it, but I can't seem to get good clips. It's like, I probably suck too much. I think my deck is fine. For those of you who are on the Discord, you will have seen it. I think I tweaked it a little bit since I posted it, but pretty much the same thing. Detlef is Detlef. So one thing I want to mention about this is that I probably should have started with the Brockbar Hunter, or maybe even Sigvald. I shouldn't have started with the Queensguard because now the Queensguard has to be on the board for 2 turns before it can do something. Of course, it turned out fine. But if we played the Brockbar Hunter first, we could have gotten an easy ping on those Neckers, killed both of them, and still had a ping left over for Queensguard. And the Queensguard would have only had to survive a single turn before we could play them. That can make a big difference. Like, some opponents can 2-shot your cards, but they can't 1-shot them. So just, you know, leaving those cards in peril for as little time as possible is pretty good. Now Gremist is going to be a big player in this match, so that was a good draw. I'm not going to play him this round because we're doing really well on points already this round, and Vampires generally, to get their big points, they have to commit their big plays, like Oriana and some leader charges, stuff like that. He's spending a Naglfar to get Telekinesis. That is a card I have not seen in Vampires before, but this seems to be a more control-oriented one with Eldritch Thunder and stuff like that. And here we go. That's a pretty big Drake Bandu. That's the 12-point Drake I was talking about. It's pretty good. It seals the round for us. Against this deck, I mean, obviously we saw that it was a more control-oriented deck, so saving Drake might have been too risky. So I just, it's a nice play. It's only 6 provisions, so even though it was worth a lot of points there, later it would have been worth less. And all in all, it was low committal. And here you can see I'm playing Eist again to bleed. And again, I'm gonna say that that's probably the biggest mistake. Bleeding is fine. Like, this deck can actually do a lot with like 3 or 4 cards in a short round. Especially if you keep Eist and you can just set up Queensguard and a damage engine right away. And I'm not gonna Herald Hound's not that. That's risky. And this boy really respects Queensguard, spending a Karathi Heatwave on it. Now that's respect. But we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep on going. And here we see the first leader charge, which is pretty good to get out of him now. If you guys notice like small jumps in the gameplay, that's because I had to cut out a lot of roping from my opponent, and I'm not hating on you. If you're watching this, my dear opponent, I'm not hating on you. Maybe this is your first time playing Vampires, or one of your first times. Like I know why people rope sometimes. It's hard. Gwent can be hard, especially when you're playing decks that are less straightforward. Like, Vampires is definitely less straightforward than Queensguard, I'd say. So, like, power to you, my man. Take your time. Consider your plays. Do the good stuff. I'm just trying to desperately heal up my Herald Hounds now. That's Queen of the Night. It's a pretty big bleed. And of course, Gremist's Purify ability will refresh whenever we play an Alchemy card, and we do have Ermion in the hand, so we can replay an Alchemy card.
Gods protect us.
I'm going to replay the Drum and Queensguard. And there you go, like that. Gremist was worth a lot of points this match. Whereas last match we mulliganed him because he wouldn't have been worth more than the 6. Well, actually, we did get locked, but I did end up playing it, so it was still good last match. And he does get the Gale. And he does commit some leader charges. I'm going to take the pass here because our last card is not good in this situation. And his last cards are very good. Trust me. Now, I probably shouldn't have gone into a short round against monsters. That's generally a bad idea. Although our hand is good. Now we're going to set up Sigvald. Then we're going to Scald the Morkvarg. We're going to draw maybe Freya's Blessing. We're going to get a Queensguard. We're going to get to ping it. And then we got Ulfred in for his biggest final play. Of course, I'm expecting like Osrol or something. Maybe another big boy. Oriana. The good stuff. But yeah, having Eist right now, I think would have been just really good. Of course, like, we don't have Queensguards in our deck, but if we hadn't done it last round, then we would have. So we would have been able to do that play, set up this combo from the first turn, and have 3 turns to pump out Queensguards potentially, and that's really good. But of course, not using Eist last round would have compromised the outcome that you just witnessed, to put it bluntly. I don't even know if that was bluntly, but yeah, his last card is the Spirit Tip. And so yeah, we get a 10-point Ulfidin. You know, we get Queensguard. But like, we barely lose. But if you imagine, if we had Eist, we would have won this round. But the question is, of course, would we have been able to get the same outcome from round 2, or a similar enough outcome, without committing Eist? That's a good question. I mean, the Queensguard got killed pretty early, so maybe it would have been fairly similar? I don't know. But yeah, going in a short round against monsters, like, I know vampires play big boys. Not so often old Spirit Tip, the big man, but it happens. He is the biggest of the boys. But that does it for the gameplay today. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you got a pretty good idea of how this deck functions. I hope I didn't butcher it completely. If I did, MasterFallen, I'm so sorry. But I just wanted to show off this deck, and if you guys have any feedback on the deck itself, then I'm sure MasterFallen would really appreciate hearing it. And I will link to their Gwent profile down below. They make a lot of decks. A lot of fun decks that, like, I don't know, focuses on cards that, like, tier 1 meta decks don't really care about. And it just makes it more fun and interesting. And I really enjoy testing out their decks. And I highly encourage you guys to send me your decks. I wanna make a lot more videos about your decks. Just to help you out in any way I can to improve your decks and improve your deck building. And yeah, I just want everybody here to become better at Gwent in every way. That's the point of this channel. For me to improve, and for me to help you improve, and just to create community, give each other feedback, all of that good stuff. So any feedback from me or MasterFallen, leave it down below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I think I already said that a couple of times in the intro. I mean, I'm a YouTuber. What can I say? But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, don't forget to drink a lot of water, guys. I forgot during this video, and it sucked. So stay hydrated, and I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye. Later.